All right, so we're now friends with Rocket Man.
Friends, hold on
Friends.
a second. Friends, friends.
He cut me off.
Friends is a very interesting term because we have a special day today. Mike's birthday was this week.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, happy birthday. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to embarrass me in front of everyone.
Yes. So I thought this was appropriate because Mike is a Halloween baby. Huh? So I got a Starbucks card for you for a happy birthday. So I'm going to give that to you.
Thank you.
So Mike, I was thinking that if you go to a Halloween party this year, that I've always thought that he resembles you, Grandpa.
I thought it was a picture of you, Tom. But
No.
he's got too much hair.
It's Grandpa. Well, you're the boss, but Mike, I want to override you this moment.
Uh-oh.
But there again, Mike, we do appreciate you.
Thank you.
And it's fun to surprise you. And happy birthday. We're not going to sing you happy birthday unless Chris wants to.
I'm good. Happy birthday, Mike.
Chris is the singing type. So.
Yeah. So we want to wish Mike a happy birthday and wanted to surprise him. Did we surprise you?
You did. Yeah.
I like it. I don't get to surprise Mike a lot.
It's not often people get one over on me.
I know. So we did. I called all these guys and conspired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is conjuring the dead, apparently. And our good friend Lizzo is honoring our historic artifacts.
Yeah, founding fathers is what I've heard.
Yeah. There's so much going on all the time now.
Yep.
You don't even have to you just go with it. I mean, it's just like you can't make it up, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Babylon Bee is now becoming fact, right?
Right.
Coffee is good for us. And as we all hear the bad stuff about coffee is something that now is found out if you drink multiple cups a day, it's good for you and good for your heart. And so if your heart well, it's funny how
I mean, at this point, I must be immortal.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
You never stop drinking coffee.
It's one of those
He's
things
at 10
where
cups today already.
yeah. So they're saying that
I had my Trenta.
that it helps you. Now I've got a heart problem, so they say if you have any pre-existing heart conditions that we got to check with your doctor, which is everything nowadays, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to check with your doctor, but they're saying multiple cups of coffee a day is actually good for your health. So I'm like, right on. I drink 2 cups a day.
Yep, I think it's when you get into the crazy coffees, when you go, people go to Starbucks and you get the 4 shots of caramel, the 4 shots of vanilla syrup, the classic included.
Well,
it's like diabetes in a cup, I think.
Well, it's so funny because I was diagnosed with prediabetes in my last physical, which was 3 weeks ago. And now that I order a coffee, I ask them to hold out the syrup that they put in it, which makes it what it is. Mm-hmm. And I asked them to put another one in. I confuse them all the time at Starbucks. It's like I want this drink, but not with that sauce or syrup.
I mean, at least they make everything sugar-free now.
You can.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
So you can get a
Very
pretty
true.
tasty drink and have caffeine too. So there'll be there's an article to be posted in this. So yeah.
So I have another feel-good story, and I don't know if Alex got a clip for this or not, but they had a rally in New York City a few days ago, and people are starting to wake up. They're booing Nancy Pelosi. Everybody booing.
That's not good when you hear boos from the
why is everyone booing?
Suck. I got asked that question one time. I was the IOC representative, the International Olympic Committee representative for bodybuilding, when bodybuilding was trying to get in the Olympics. So there was a IOC representative that was, I was kind of the taking him around, showing him, bodybuilding. And it's so funny at the end, we were thinking, were we going to get into the Olympic Games? But first you have to get in the World Games to get in the Olympic Games. And he asked me, and he spoke broken English. He said, Tom, he goes, it's hard for us to make a decision on your sport because most of the winners get booed. Mm. And I go, well, it's a subjective sport. It's kind of like diving, but, about the splash. So he asked, he goes, do you guys do anything else like on stage, like explode or anything that would help us decide? But he did. And I go, no, we don't do that. And he goes, well, it's really hard to talk about how the winner gets booed. And they do. I mean, you go to a bodybuilding contest, a lot of people disagree with first and second. I mean, those are close, sometimes farther out. But it was something. And so when you hear yourself getting booed after you won a title, and that happened to me a lot of
Well,
times.
apparently sometimes the losers get booed too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the way you interpret it, right?
It is.
Nothing's
It
absolute
is.
truth.
And
anymore.
bodybuilding did not make it into the Olympics.
the guy in the video asked, why are they booing her? Well, let's think. Because you've basically destroyed our economy or had a big hand in that for the past couple of years. At least, really, if you look back, it's been over the last couple of decades. Yeah. But
I always try to give people a doubt. Yeah, I'm kind of the other side of the pendulum here. But when we had the pandemic and everybody was just so critical about us not wearing masks, and when she gets caught in a salon not wearing a mask
That was supposed to be closed.
and then she says she was set up.
Exactly.
no, she wasn't set up. She just
She own it.
working by her own separate set of rules than what she's
appreciate
imposing on
things
everyone else.
If you own it, just saying, yeah, I did that. I'm sorry. Mike,
Do you think she's ever going to apologize for anything?
No, Mike. Last night you had to apologize after our marriage matters section, right? LaDavia said, "Don't." Do
Oh yeah,
something. So I mean, we're always in a constant state of that. I think that makes us human. That's the human experience. Just own what you do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not make an excuse for it, or you did it first. I hate that you did it first. Everybody wants to blame Trump still, and I'm like, I think he's been out of office for a couple of years now, hasn't he? You can't keep doing that. Or they want to say, what do we have now? I mean, we also have Kamala Harris, who was chumming up with North Korea. So they said, well, so did Trump. I'm like, okay, yeah, but what's the point there?
Yeah, but Kamala actually thought they were an ally.
Yeah.
When she was saying that.
Well, she probably still thinks they're an ally because she's allied with them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and play the clip, Alex.
So the United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. And it is an alliance that is strong and enduring. And today, there were several demonstrations of just that point.
Well, but the thing is,
She forgot where she was, okay?
well,
North or south?
She might actually be allied with North Korea.
Oh, that's actually very true. Usually they say, and portray the opposite, but now I think you might be right on that, Mike. So
She's that was a Freudian slip, right?
yeah, there you go.
I don't know how much she actually thinks before she opens her mouth, though.
I don't know if but that's our Kamala Harris quote of the week, right?
We got to pull up the one with space, right? The space speech, right? There was a lot
what
of
happened
words.
there?
When she was like, space, it's a big thing, or whatever, something along those things, and and so yeah.
But I think you have a good point, Chris. Like, she doesn't think, and half of it, and interesting to think about. Are they just trying to gaslight or it's like, oh, look at the conservatives are talking about this
Over
oh,
here
it's a big deal.
versus
Right.
what I'm doing here.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny because when you look at Kamala Harris or really any of the Democrats, one of the things they can do is say a lot of words and not say anything at all. I think that's what she's great at.
She's the queen of it.
The queen. Yeah.
Yeah, she'll keep going on and on and on.
So do you think they practice at that? I mean, it's like most people will practice to get something right. And as I do watch it, and I do want to hear something more legible than not, and I don't understand what I just heard.
I do think she's worked on keeping flowing without using
That's your brain trying to think too, isn't it?
yeah, and just
lot.
keep
Public
cycling through the same saying 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think anybody could ever accuse her of really thinking too much.
So
She is our vice president.
Heartbeat away.
and honestly, we could bring up the press conference this week. Where really the mainstream media, usually it's Peter Doocy asking the questions in the back of the room, challenging, John Pierre. But this week, Biden, this is the first time we've seen where somebody's actually challenging the mental capacity of the president, where it's like, I don't even know how to make this defensible, but I don't know if that's something we go into right now. Where you had the President Biden, the so-called president, going up there and making remarks about a former congresswoman and saying that Jackie was in the room.
Well, then right after that, the Chinese brought it up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect timing. Right?
Yeah, Chinese political guy brought it up saying, hey, we know that Biden doesn't have the mental faculties. Who's really running the place? He is in charge of the largest military complex in the world.
I think you have to be outside of our country to looking back in with retrospect to make that comment. We're all seeing it from the inside going, it's kind of obvious. But now when a Chinese guy looks at it and says, our Chinese representative, and says, hey, there's a problem there. We're like, oh yeah, maybe it is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the woman died in August or something like that, and
Yes.
and it was an event, and she was like largely involved in
Rest
the
in peace.
organization,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no disrespect.
Served
to
our country. Yeah.
No disrespect to her, but for him to not have known, for him to not be self-aware, and realize that she's no longer living, and be asking where is she at, why doesn't she come up and speak?
Well, I can speak for an older generation because I am 64, and older than you guys. So you do forget when you wake up in the morning what happened yesterday. I mean, but I'm not president of the United States, So I'm just saying you do. Sometimes like
President Tom Touchstone.
What,
right
what,
there.
what did I eat
Get
yesterday
the
morning,
ring.
honey?
but to have somebody that's running the most powerful country in the world, really the most powerful superpower, that has control of nuclear weapons and everything else,
I'm not
fully capable of
disagreeing
functioning.
with
And
you
they had
guys.
just played a video in memoriam of her right before this.
Yeah.
So he was very well, he's not.
Well,
but-
there again. I mean, it sucks getting older, and our president happens to be a little older than me, quite a bit. So
Yeah.
it is. I
All
like.
right, let's
Well,
play
he-
this clip, right?
Oh yeah, go for it. Let's bring it up.
Representative Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
No, she's not there. She passed away in August.
I mean, I really feel bad for the guy.
I still go back and say maybe Dr. Jill Biden should take a little more responsibility. Hey, my wife would insist that I quit. One day I may have to quit this mic because my wife will call you and go, "Hey, Tom can't do any more shows."
Well,
he's
What's the
embarrassing.
hard part about it? You're like,
I might be doing that now.
do we do something about Biden or not? Because remove him, and then Kamala Harris steps into line, and she's 10 times worse, right?
Yeah, well, and it kind of reminded me of this clip specifically is when Biden was doing his speech when he was running for Senate, and he goes, "Chuck, where's Chuck at? Chuck, can you stand up? Oh, wait, I forgot Chuck's in a wheelchair. Okay, everybody stand for Chuck." And everybody's like, whoa, it's all awkward. I just remember that. So this is kind of like in his wheelhouse, so, and stuff. So, yeah.
But,
Well, yeah,
I mean,
he's-
it's more sad than funny, really,
Yeah.
because I mean, he's not capable of thinking.
Yeah, but he also has been making wildly insensitive remarks his entire public life.
Oh, I'm not saying he wasn't ignorant prior to his faculties failing him. but-
I'm just telling you, when Trump was president and Biden called him out behind the woodshed, I'd have paid to see that.
Yes, that would have
I
been a
don't know
fun
why
one.
Dana White did not jump in on that and schedule it for Caesar's Palace, or better yet, the Trump Palace. I'd have paid to see that. I'm like, I see two old guys going at it.
That would be kind of fun.
That would.
Lighten up the
Did-
mood.
did-
I think that would have done more in
Didn't
in
he call him out behind the
relations.
woodshed? Said, hey, I think he said if we were younger, I'd call you out behind the woodshed. Well, don't do it now. Do it now.
I
Don't
know.
do it then. Do it now.
But I think you I think you have to be a fool to not be aware of the fact that he's not capable. So who is actually running the country? Because it's not actually him, right?
Well, based on the stuff we're seeing come out in their statements and everything, it's got to be a whole bunch of kids under 30.
Yeah, good point.
Based on all the wokeness and the pronouns and everything else.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw the picture recently where Obama and Michelle went down to the White House, and he was in the center of the photo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're like, who's really running it? It's almost like you said, it's a continuation of Obama's third term. We just had president in the stopgap,
Yeah.
and that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because sometimes those things are sleight of hands, because I think some of the things that are really affecting our local community are also affecting the nation, and this fentanyl thing's getting way out of hand. My wife, who's a superintendent of the school district, is concerned because they're selling this fentanyl and they're calling it Skittles, because it's coming in and it's disguised as candy.
Well, it's also in the cereal.
Yet, and so as this is a serious issue. People are dying of fentanyl all around us, not only locally. We've had North High School here locally in Bakersfield, California, where they've caught a student with some fentanyl, and the kids are speaking out now about how it's so prevalent in our local high schools. And you're like, what the heck?
I just got a letter from my kid's elementary school about it, saying we need to talk to them age appropriately.
Yeah.
My kids are in 2nd and 3rd grade.
Yes.
Yeah, but what's the deal with it, right? I mean, we know why it's coming because we're not doing anything about the border with 2 million crossing the border. What in the past year? Is that pretty close to accurate?
That we caught and released. That's not counting the ones that got away before we
50
caught
went
them.
to Martha's Vineyard.
That almost started World War III.
They went someplace else after that. I think Boston.
Oh, they immediately shipped them right out of there. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got a stopover in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, the Air Force Base across the.
But
Cape.
what is the purpose of this, right? Because you're not selling drugs to make money. You're just poisoning people.
Well, it's one of those things where I think we had an incident down in Texas where somebody who crossed the border tried to actually take a gun from a National Guardsman. I think I think Alex has that.
And I think
too.
to add to the point, Mike, you said you're like, oh, they're just poisoning people, but this drug is so easily and cheaply made, and they can lace it in all these other drugs that are putting out, and a lot of the stuff's being put into pills. They're the illicit lit synthetic opioids is what they are, and so people are thinking, oh, I'm buying this bottle of Xanax, which it could be emptied out. These could be put in because it's so cheap and it's so marketable. So they're making tons of money off of this drug. You said the border is an example of that. The cartel knows this is a multi-billion-dollar project, so we're going to keep pushing this to kids. And just fun fact is, I heard a little birdie in Fresno Unified last month, they confiscated 200 pounds of drugs in the schools.
Jeez.
Matt used to be part of Turning Point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of our consultants, my daughter, Tessa Jimenez, who used to be Tom Touchstone, is Daily Wire's talent manager. Kind of wearing a shirt today, kind of that. And Tessa always helps us with our show. She helps us consult on all of them. So we know people in high places, I think, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's great because I always get a eye view of what's going on at Daily Wire and what they're kind of in on. My daughter talks to me. Nothing secret. So don't do anything to her. But I'm just proud of my daughter.
Yeah.
You can see that.
Of course, you should be.
On our LinkedIn, and Matt, you too. I mean,
we're
we're very fortunate to have two young, knowledgeable people. My daughter's degrees in political science.
Yeah.
And so it's
But
good,
what
it's
is
good
the
to have
end
you
game?
guys.
Going back to fentanyl, what is the end game? Like, what are they trying to accomplish by they're just poisoning people, putting into this and cereal, putting it in a can? Like, they're not selling it.
Yeah.
They are.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
like they're not selling it to the people that they're poisoning.
Well, most of them they are. They're selling it as fake Vicodin or Oxycontin or Xanax.
Well,
So how is it ending up in people's cereal?
That's just to smuggle it into the country. And
So it's
then
inadvertently making its way onto the store shelves.
that was never going to actual distribution.
Okay.
It was all faked.
They're going to unpack it probably
Just-
at wherever they do their stuff at.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Take the fentanyl out. But it did end up in a local local junior high here in town.
Yeah.
It did. It ended up in a local junior high in another container. And so the school found it, confiscated it, and so the students probably going through some disciplinary thing. But there was 150 tablets that were going to a junior high.
Yeah.
But
You know, I
people
said-
are being poisoned regularly. Like, it wasn't that long ago that what was it in Nashville? Someone had that $100 bill that they got poisoned off of that.
Well,
Actually, it's not proven that fentanyl can actually be done through the skin. It can be ingested through if it's inhaled, if it's smoked, if it's all these other ways that drugs are through needles and all this stuff.
there's
But yeah.
suspicion that it can be.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
whole suspicion because it only takes a little bit of an amount to do it.
Yeah, but
and-
there's no proof it's transdermal.
And you just don't want it going to kids.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
You know, that's, I think, the biggest problem. And when you're making it look like Skittles,
yeah.
what is your intent? And I think we have to say that. What's their intent? Is they're trying to get customers that are younger.
No, 100%. And then you think about down on Texas and any of the southern states. I don't know if you know that a lot of the things is they have like testing for like EpiPens and different things like that for kids. And I've seen it on the news where they have like teddy bears. And this is how you use an EpiPen. And you're putting it into a teddy bear. They're like, why are we teaching kids this? Because it's so prevalent among that age group.
Well,
because
most
it's the next
schools now are getting Narcan to help somebody who has overdosed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be somebody taking it, as we've seen at the school where I think I forgot what junior high it was, but there was a
Chipman.
Chipman. There was a security guard who overdosed, and they were able to help him. But now you've got elementary schools having to get Narcan,
Right. And
because somebody might overdose, and it may not just be a student, maybe an adult that's there to interact with students.
Yeah, my mom got so scared reading all this on foxnews.com that she went and ordered 10 Narcan sprayers.
Well, it might be something you would have to do, especially if it comes inadvertently through something. My wife, there again, she's a superintendent. She was on the school grounds, and she's involved with kids, and so there is a modicum of nervousness that is out there, but it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all of this is just part of I think, a bigger plan to intentionally erode our values and the things that we stand for, and
It's happening.
It's happening widespread.
Well, we're seeing this with test scores. We're noticing now that shutting down the schools was probably a mistake.
Yeah, but we aren't
We
getting
all knew
to
that 2 years ago, right?
But we don't get to see the test scores.
That's exactly the point, because they
Yeah.
have the transparency where parents can see the grades and stuff of the students, but they never show exactly what they're teaching, how they're scoring in this material, and really any of the substance that we would probably like to know about our kids, graduating from high school, but they don't want to show because it'd be transparent.
Well, yeah, and they aren't releasing the standardized test scores until right around the election.
Do you have to even do standardized testing anymore? I don't think you do to get in college.
No, but this is to see how the systems are doing, to compare Fresno Unified with Bakersfield City, with LA Unified, and see where the districts stack up against each
Now,
other.
isn't it very interesting that we throw in the Green New Deal that Newsom has in California that caused...
It's called the Inflation Reduction Act now.
Okay.
I know, right?
Thank you for correcting me on that.
Yeah.
So
Same thing.
I have been corrected. I apologize for that.
Yeah.
But you have a school district named McKittrick that is the city is being purchased by an oil company. Of course, Newsom's saying it's their greed. Well, it's no, because of you can't have a residence 300 or 3,500 feet from an oil well. So this district has some of the highest test scores in California.
Top 10%.
Yep. And so as you take a district now, it's no longer going to have residents. So the big question is, what happens to the school? Well, I think it's only obvious that if you don't have residents, you may not have kids.
Barry has started preliminary talks with the board to purchase the land.
Yep. And it's sad.
And somehow they're coming out to be made out as the bad guys in the whole thing.
It's purely the law of unintended consequences.
I like what
Yeah.
Chris just said.
I mean, it was bound to happen. It's a small community of, 300 people, smack dab in the middle of one of the top 5 or 10 largest producing oil fields in the entire country.
I think it's 25 houses,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, and then there's I know the Penny Bar's gone.
Yep.
Then next door to there's 2 markets, and past that it's oil companies.
Yeah.
Those can stay.
Yeah. But I mean, all of this is, again, going back to, it's part of a larger plan to, it's just a power grab, right?
Yeah.
It's power grab, and basically to just crap on our values and our stuff. And in that, like, I don't know if you guys saw recently the thing with Lizzo, and we were talking about that this morning, Matt.
And that's going to go on the government record, by the way. Because it's historical artifacts, so that's going to be tied to that.
Well, it's going back to they're intentionally crapping on our values, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing this to troll, right? Largely to just troll the conservatives and the Republicans. And I mean, it's really I don't know how you can degrade something more than that.
But if you think about it, if you go back to Stalin and Lenin, first thing you get rid of is the nuclear family.
Yeah.
Then you put government in as the head of the house.
That's new daddy.
Yes, and then you start handling it financially.
Yeah.
With the welfare, with the state employment, until all of a sudden you've got a homogenous society that all worships the leaders.
Yeah. Well, that's why our big push, and we talked about this earlier this week, Tom, is to strengthen men and to strengthen the nuclear family, because that is what's being just
Mike,
beat
you
up.
and I and Pastor Hector and our wives last night
Yeah.
just did a Marriage Matters. You can catch that live on Instagram.
Because that's one of the biggest parts of our mission, is strengthening nuclear
Strengthening
families
marriage.
and doing that by strengthening men.
And one of the things I love
specifically.
to do is strengthen men. Because I do believe as a man goes in a house, the spiritual level of that house doesn't rise above what that man wants it to.
And women need it too, Tom.
Well, they
but
do.
Men have been the ones that have been beat down and
Yes,
told they
and
were
so-
stupid and made fun of and all of these things for so long now that somebody has to come in as a force for good. And I'm not saying we're the only ones doing it. We're not. But we want to do what we can to strengthen and lift them up.
Well, I think that's why a lot of people are looking at the church in a whole to come in and support those values that we believe in, which is faith in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at your family, the nuclear family. You're talking about a man and a woman. Then you're talking about the man fulfilling his role in the Bible according to his wife. And, you're looking at kids. I mean, one of the things that we always say, it's our responsibility to educate kids, not the school. And there again, Mike, when, I was over a private school for 19 years, and people would come in and they think that we were supposed to raise and give their kids values. Values come from you guys, the parents. They come from the house.
Well, and if they don't come from the house, they come from somewhere else.
Yes.
And it's wherever kind of at the whims of maybe your cell phone.
Yeah.
And if it's not in the cell phone, in the classroom.
You have
and
to
everything else.
establish those values in your home.
I think that's important. And shameless plug here, you guys watching this, go check out what we're doing over on Instagram with the Marriage Matters, and go check out what we're doing over on Daily Freedom. We're sending out daily emails and devotions and all that. But all of everything we do,
Strengthen the family.
Strengthen the family unit.
And what we believe in. I mean, we believe in faith in Christ. We do. If you don't, that you could still watch us. We encourage you to, because it gives you, faith, family, freedom.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, at least you want to bound yourself within the framework of the United States government, faith, family, and freedom.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Amen.
So,
Yeah.
It is.
So hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great day. God bless.